when I sit, okay?
Hello, this is our group project for PSY 366, the movie we watched was A Beautiful Mind, and each of us are going to introduce ourselves and share what we wrote. I'm Brandon Stafford.
I'm Grace Delgado.
I'm Kateri Ladowick.
I'm Chloe Crow.
I'm Brooke Robstrud.
And we're doing Schizophrenia in the movie A Beautiful Mind.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just jump in. I guess I'll start with the hallucination delusion thing, because that's a huge thing in schizophrenia. I didn't know the difference. And as I was telling you guys earlier, delusion is the cognitive belief that everything that they're seeing, hearing is real, and what they are seeing and hearing is the hallucination itself. Mm-hmm. So like Charles, his roommate, sorry, I'm looking at you because you're looking Charles, his roommate, that niece, that little girl, and the lieutenant or whatever, those were the spy, those are all hallucinations. And I thought it was so interesting because he was having me believe it was real until I found out. I was like, oh, I thought this was all real.
The first half of the movie, I was like, oh, this is a bad diagnosis, like he's not schizophrenic. And my first page of notes is like why he's not schizophrenic, and then like the hour mark hit, and then like it was all a lie. And I was just like, oh.
Well, because we knew he was schizophrenic, right? Because we know he had schizophrenia. So the whole time I'm trying to decode, like, does he actually work for the government and he's just paranoid, or does he not?
Well, and that's something that's true because he did do work for the government, so his hallucinations were like based off of that.
Right.
Yeah, which made it even worse for him.
Yeah.
Because he was working in that area.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing, once he was in that psychiatric hospital, and the doctor and John's wife were looking in through the window, and the wife said, "What's wrong with him?" The doctor said, "John has schizophrenia." So it wasn't until that point that they had actually first mentioned the word schizophrenia.
Like officially diagnosed.
Right. Yeah. So, and that was like more than halfway through the movie.
And the wife was like in denial about it too.
I mean, I too.
That was like, what is this?
So it was really...
absolutely.
So basically, something I was going to point out for Beautiful Mind and the notes is that the frontal lobe is a critical brain region that is involved in a wide range of cognitive functions such as decision making, working memory, attention, planning, and social cognition. Dysfunction in these cognitive domains is a hallmark of schizophrenia and has been linked to abnormalities in the frontal lobe. There was a significant reduction of gray matter and white matter in the inferior frontal gyrus, IFG, and middle frontal gyrus, MFG, as identified in our findings, which is basically a quote from the article. And hold on, I'm going to finish off that quote. The IFG, inferior frontal gyrus, is known to be involved in the processing of language, speech, production, and semantic processing, yes. The MFG, on the other hand, is involved in higher order cognition functions, including working, memory, attention, and cognitive flexibility. And just one thing I'm gonna add is that my response to the quote is I'd say that John's MFG had some satisfactory functional impairment because, or like functionality too in general. That's because from timestamp 0 hours, 23 minutes, 12 seconds to 0 hours, 23 minutes, 24 minutes, 12 seconds, Hellinger is impressed when looking over John's papers. And he states that his work lies in the work of 150 years of economic theory. So, and he held back a laugh because this was actually something positive.
Right.
Absolutely.
I feel like the article I read was about hallucinations and delusions and how it like affects your episodic memory and how it can contribute to memory loss. But I feel like it wasn't that wasn't really depicted in the movie at all.
Was it
I felt like,
prevalent?
yeah, I kind of like the article talked about how it can just like, I mean, obviously like it affects your like everyday life, but it can affect how you like think and how you do things. But I didn't really feel like I noticed that. Like he was just such a brilliant person, and so I feel like his memory didn't seem affected because I mean, throughout his whole entire life, like I mean, even the end of the movie when he was like in his 80s or whatever, like he was still tutoring people and teaching classes. So I felt like his memory was intact. Like.
Yeah.
They didn't really fight that research.
Show that,
Yeah. So I don't know if like that was like a flaw kind of in like the
Well, what is like the percentage of people who are diagnosed with schizophrenia that have the loss? Does it say that in there? Do you know?
I don't know if it's there. It just says it's significantly negatively correlated with performance on episodic memory tasks. And then measuring fluency and then concentration or attention, which I found interesting too because I felt like he was very like attentive and he was very concentrated on his work.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe even too much because he was concentrating on the wrong things. But absolutely.
But he didn't know they were the wrong things.
Exactly.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and also he seemed to have like a kind of some like fixed ideas, especially about his hallucinations. Could have sworn they were there, and he thought he saw, I think his name is Parcher, one of the hallucinatory people. And when he was in the hospital, he jumped out of his chair trying to escape, but only realized until then that he was cuffed up. So he was looking at Parcher. And he did have some kind of impairment in the part that controls emotion regulation because he showed some severe anger. And it was very, very evident. Very noticeable.
Yeah. Well, even at the beginning, like pretty much the very beginning of the movie, I think it was like at like the 13-minute mark, the 17-minute mark, how he like had basically a psychotic break after he was told that his work isn't super promising that first time, and then that's when he like threw his desk out the window and started banging his head, and then he cut his forehead open, and so like that ties in with the anger issue part.
And self-harm. Which is amazing.
Yeah, when he was looking for like the device.
That too.
Or with a head thing.
I don't think self-harm is uncommon with schizophrenia. I'm pretty sure it is common. And even though that was kind of a non-suicidal act, it was still self-harm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And another sign or symptom is the way he was walking. That was a major thing, and even his speaking.
And then he like held his bag.
Yeah, just little tells of the disorder, for sure. And I wondered if that would go under negative symptoms, like I don't know, or maybe the disorganized or catatonic. That one more. Okay.
Like to play off of that, I feel like he had a lot of like the little symptoms, like acting like a child and not really knowing how to communicate. But like there were times where that like for like 30 minutes where he would just like kind of normal, and then they would start again. Is that like, are they consistent in OCD, schizophrenia, or is that like just a like, part of his acting flawed?
I mean, I know it's like a chronic. Like, it's not like
up and down.
It fluctuates. In other words, it's kind of level.
Maybe it's always there, but it's just like you said, fluctuates. Like it's
I think it can flare depending on the like environment, stressors. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So in my article, it kind of tied together with the movie really beautifully because it talked about how with just medication, the adherence to it and the amount of hospitalization goes up if you're just taking the medication for schizophrenia. But when you have CBT and you have a community and you're trying to get re-entered into the community and taking medication, you'll have a much higher likelihood of having really beautiful results. And within the study, they found that 53% of the patients in that group that just took medications had relapse or didn't have relapse, and 71% of the patients with medication and CBT did not relapse. So there's almost a 20% increase in better outcomes when you have that support and that community with you and working with CBT. And I think like that scene where the wife sits down with him and is like, feel my heartbeat, like this is love, this is here, like that's almost CBT and bringing him to the present and being like, this is real. And like calling out his delusions as well, like helped him probably in the long run, you know, begin to be a teacher again and do all of the beautiful things that he ended up being able to pursue after he had that medication adherence and the support of his community.
Yeah.
Mine kind of really jumps into that as well, because you were talking about how the community affects, and mine's basically about the interpersonal relationships and how much it helps them strive and not be cured, you know, but I don't know. Be better implemented, into reality.
Right.
And mine, there was no like percentage or ratio or anything like that, but it was just shown from personal interviews and stuff with people that have the disorder that the assistance of compassion and kindness among like healthcare workers, co-workers, spouses, friends, helps reduce the incidence of stigma on individuals and also just life itself with it. And so mine was basically about that. And I don't know if you want to go into it now, but a huge part of that was shown in the movie with his co-workers. Like the guy at the end who had a personal change, the guy who was first mean, and I forget his name. And then he changed, he helped him get back into university. And even when he had that fit, he helped him get out of that, pulled him away, was supportive. And of course his wife was really supportive as well and helped him do that. So anyways, it's just it's a big part of the therapy for sure. Is the people around.
It is.
And I was going to share another quote from the Schizophrenia article. The current voxel-based morphometry (VBM) findings support previous research demonstrating altered connectivity in the frontal lobe in schizophrenia. And that was in the article, and here's my response to that quote. This makes sense because there's a good chance that John's frontal lobe was altered and or impaired. This could explain why John behaved the way he did, although I would argue that his brain's frontal lobe was incompletely impaired, so not fully impaired, because he had some reasoning and logic.
Right.
And for example, John taught a math class, and it was specifically multivariable calculus, which is a math I've never heard of. He was teaching it at a university from timestamp 0 hours, 30 minutes, 35 seconds to timestamp 0 hours, 32 minutes, 35 seconds. So, but he actually had trouble managing his emotions, like I said before. And
negative symptoms.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten to that yet. I mean, no, you're good.
Like,
I don't know where to find it. I think we should keep going.
No, I wanted to make sure.
I want to go over 15 minutes. I mean, I don't even, I didn't feel rushed at all.
No. I wasn't doing that. I wanted to make sure I hit record.
I don't even know where I put the, you guys can just, we don't have to like.
No, go. You want to go into the negative symptoms?
We can.
Because I have some stuff about that too.
Okay, well right now I found the positive symptoms. So
Okay, let's go into that.
Okay, so as of symptomatology, John shows positive symptoms of schizophrenia. His positive symptoms include exaggerated perceptions and ideas, hallucinations and delusions. These hallucinations and delusions impair John's ability to know what's real and what is not real. This affects John's capacity to care for himself.
And others.
Oh yeah, you're right. And he, like with the incident with the baby in the bathtub, and he thought someone else was there watching the baby, but then his wife, I think Alicia her name is, came back from that little house or like that little shed because that's where one of his illusions took place, and there were notes like, oh my gosh, like hundreds of notes.
Newspaper scrappings. All
Yeah, so John saw 3 imaginary people during his episodes of Schizophrenia. Their names are Parcher, Charles, and Marcel.
Yeah.
And I'll continue with the negative symptoms once I give someone else a chance to speak.
Yeah.
So whoever's ready.
I think it was really like powerful too to see at the end of the movie, like he would still see like the people, but he would ignore them
Yes.
as well.
You're right.
He wouldn't give them. Oh no.
No, I was wondering if anyone else if that's like common because I've never heard of them being able to like ignore them.
Because maybe that's part of like the CBT and like the cognition that it's not real, and having like those strategies in place to like kind of calm yourself and know like what to feel in that moment and think and just kind of redefine that for yourself.
I can't speak for schizophrenia, but I can speak for OCD, and like the thoughts are always there. Like I have them every day, but it's just letting them go and not giving them the
like,
control.
Because you can
the power.
acknowledge your thoughts.
Yes.
It's just like how you react based on that.
Exactly.
Right, and I also have OCD, so I've been there too, and I've been in CBT like for several years now, and I've learned to deal with like unwanted thought patterns, and I can do that without acting on them because in the beginning of the movie, maybe up until like a little more than halfway through the movie, he acted on them and was making a scene out in public.
Oh yeah.
But the good news is, more towards the end of the movie, he was able to ignore them, and it's like other people wouldn't know he was having them if they knew he had a disorder.
And what was also really sad was what was also really sad was like when he was on the medication, he like couldn't do his work at all.
Yeah.
And so then as the movie goes on and he takes his medication and he gets that community support, and obviously medication got better.
Right.
As we get into the 2000 area. So he was able to do his work and have that support, which was really awesome.
Absolutely.
I forgot what I was going to say.
No.
Well,
what was your article?
my article
about
talks a lot about like the symptoms, and I was just looking at that. Like we talked about the hallucinations and the delusions, but one thing I feel like he didn't have was like slurred speech or like problem speaking.
I agree.
I feel like when he spoke very clearly. Don't look at my BC
like.
No, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say like you can understand everything he's gonna say. I think he was just an oddball, you know.
I do. I think there was some. You could tell something was off though. Like it wasn't slurred, but the way he spoke was, and he was very blunt. He was very like with the woman at the bar.
Yes,
very like just you know. And I was watching this video about a woman going over the movie actually who has schizophrenia, and she was saying that is accurate. That they're just very like they can't think abstractly. So when he was saying that, like he really just was,
and it's
like, that's your end goal, kind of like tunnel vision, like that's,
And it's like he like has trouble with like emotions and like social skills.
Yes,
but I feel like he still was able to speak very clearly, which helped him like continue his studies,
get where he was,
and, like, be a teacher or be a
academic. I guess you're right, actually, for sure.
I even felt like his relationship with his wife was kind of interesting. Like I feel like there's obviously a connection because like they got married, but it's like I don't know, like I just felt like it was kind of like I don't know, it was just kind of off. Like it wasn't like super deep, or I felt like it didn't show that it was super deep. Obviously, like they didn't really like focus on the relationship.
I think it was until the end. Like one thing I really pointed out was the handkerchief that she gave him, and at the speech she like put all the credit on her. Like that was the only time we really saw that development. But like,
and that's probably Hollywood, just focusing more on.
But you do think about like when he was on medication, he couldn't like properly
he just wasn't.
And she didn't know what to do. She was so like overwhelmed with the situation.
And that was like most of the movie, so maybe there was and we just couldn't see it.
It also showed an incident where she left the room she was in with him, and when she asked him to take his meds, and once she left the room, he put them in the drawer. It was a bunch of pink pills, so he did it probably on several days or even a week's worth.
Maybe not.
That's what led to him almost killing his baby, right? Because he wasn't on his meds.
His roommate was watching him.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because why would you adhere to a medication that takes away something you love? You know what I mean?
And that's what's really
hard.
And like his brain was like the only thing he really had. Like that was his only skill. That was his only passion. And it's like taking medication to just enable all of his creativity. Like that would be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as for the negative symptoms, John showed some negative symptoms such as social withdrawal. At the timestamp of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 30 seconds, John showed some social withdrawal without having social interactions. He didn't desire any social interactions, and at the next timestamp of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 37 seconds to 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 55 seconds, John shows more social withdrawal, but he does this by expressing like to want to isolate.
Yes, he even goes like, "Oh, people don't like me," you know. Like he wasn't. He just didn't care.
Yeah,
Right.
and
He was
just
very aware. Sorry.
Yeah.
no, it's okay. Just one more sentence. John had other symptoms that John had were derealization, anxiety, depression. John's schizophrenia was definitely a debilitating disorder. There's like no doubt about that.
Going back to the social thing too, I put down under. Give me a second.
Sociality is very important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, where is it? Oh, he spent the 2 days in the library without like eating or socializing too, which is just a huge factor. And I put it that it would go under criteria number 5. Negative symptoms,
And
obviously.
then what's even crazier about that, he would take his shoes and socks off and talk to his roommate in the library, who never existed, which is so weird. Which I didn't realize that until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And another thing is they said like within that community, like that kind of behavior is more normalized. That's why like they didn't catch it for so long as well.
And it was just seen, it was seen as just like genius behavior, which again is another thing because not everyone with schizophrenia is a genius, and so movies like this make it seem like, oh, they're just, you know. But yes, that was, I wrote that down.
It also goes back to the point that the professor made in class that some of these disorders are not solely negative. In other words, they can have some positivity in them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, with a paranoid personality, I don't want to deviate, but this is going to be really brief. An example is paranoid personality disorder, I think it was. Now, they usually, I think, lack friendships, don't they? Or so they working in a individual job like a truck driver or something like that can be easy for them.
Yes, because they can just spend time for a long amount of time, for sure. What do you guys think about his hallucination Charles? Because I don't know if this is probably just negative stigma, but I've always associated specifically schizophrenia hallucinations as negative. But Charles was kind to him, like he was nice to him.
Yeah, I had no idea he was hallucinating.
I know.
Right, that's a good thing.
Until his outfit stopped changing, I thought he was.
Oh,
I didn't even
Terry,
catch
I didn't even
that.
realize that.
He would the first when he was back when he was in college, the outfits were changing, and then out of college he was only wearing that green blazer and pants.
He did make a comment about Charles's niece and how he knows she's a hallucination because she never gets older.
ages.
She never
She
ages.
never-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so interesting because like Charles was almost a positive figure in his
Yeah.
life because he was like his friend.
And he even said at one point it's hard not to talk to him because
Right.
he needs someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And he even said goodbye to them as well.
Yeah.
Which was like
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
so in a way it's a part of him. Yeah, part of his mind, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a really moving scene when he said both goodbye to Charles and his niece, and like because you could see how hard it was for him, but like he was really being aware, kind of like going back to like what you said about just like being aware of like what is real and what's not, and he very much acknowledged that Charles and his niece was not real. And as hard as that was for him, like he still said like goodbye, and he's like, I know you're not real, like I can't talk to you, but it's like they were still there, like they were always still there with him. He just didn't like engage with them, and interact.
Yeah.
Stood on that, and the girl would try to hug him, and he would just walk by.
That's what I was going to say. The hallucinations are also sad to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So was that like reflecting his own mind because they are technically part of him, or
he created them.
yeah?
And it's like everything that he needs someone to say, they can say it. And then he has to walk away from it. Isn't that crazy? That's
Right. Yeah.
but also not everyone with schizophrenia has like hallucinations like that too. It could be audible.
Yeah, like to provide more proof about the symptomatology, and I'm just going to move on to something else after the symptomatology.
No, I'm just laughing. I love your notes. Keep
Thanks.
going.
So the symptoms of schizophrenia impair a person's ability to function, and that's exactly what happened to John.
Right.
There was distress to John, and the timestamp of 0 hours 55 minutes 6 seconds to 0 hours 57 minutes 25 seconds. So he showed some distress. He showed distress by getting into Parcher's black car at night. John and Parcher were being chased by another vehicle. This was one of John's symptoms of schizophrenia, and he was in a psychotic episode because he showed positive symptoms. And I'm trying to find a quote. I don't know, we can just keep going back and forth.
Yeah. No, those are good notes. You're really coming through with the timestamps too.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, she did mention that she wants.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the girl. The YouTube video was actually really interesting. She did say that was a little extreme, like probably more Hollywood, just adding in the effect of the whole car chase scene. But it's still like it is still relevant because it was just a false reality for him. A big one, and you can see how it affected him and his family. Alicia, when he went home, and he just went in and locked the door, and she didn't know what was going on. And then that was when he was in a hysterics. Hysteria, yeah, is when, and so that happened then too. And I don't know,
Yeah, I think it was really interesting how in the movie, before we knew he had schizophrenia, it was almost like we were with him in his mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
like
You're right.
we were actively experiencing like them as well, and that's like why the
Yes.
car scene and the shootings and stuff like that made you feel so much more strong
Yes.
towards his like disorder and stuff like that, because you really felt like you were there. And then to see it all like come crashing down was really like, you know, a hard scene, and then to see it like blossom was really great.
that was beautiful.
Yeah,
but,
like
yeah.
I wrote a lot of notes about how I didn't think he had schizophrenia and how I thought he had PTSD from like the car chase. And then when we found out that it was a delusion, I was like, oh,
So
there
I'm
goes
actually
2
wrong.
pages of notes.
Yeah, and also the other thing I meant to say is that what was it? About his hallucination. Just lost it.
It's okay.
I lose things all the time.
ADHD.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I feel like like how we were like it's like as if we were with him in his mind when in the beginning of the movie. I feel like I guess like for someone that doesn't have schizophrenia, it's like really hard to wrap your mind around the fact that like people who just have like can like see just like another human and engage with like another person. Like I can't wrap my head around that. But yeah, like being with him kind of in his mind in the beginning of the movie, it like shows you how a person with schizophrenia, like it helps you grasp like how they like see reality and they see things. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting way on how like they put the movie, because it's like I thought it was interesting how they like did that, like the timeline of like you were in his mind.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. I just want to make sure it's still because it's 28 minutes. We're at 20 minutes.
Oh,
Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Should we keep going?
I think we
Something
should
else. Like,
be.
I think I need
You say your point.
some
Finish?
connections.
Yes.
Some connections to the movie. I think that's kind of what you wanted. So here comes some connections. The article stated that schizophrenia has a higher prevalence in males, and John is a male, and he had schizophrenia. Urbanization can increase the chances of developing schizophrenia, and John lived in an urban environment. I think either New York or New Jersey. Dysregulation of dopamine, neurotransmission is a well-established feature of schizophrenia. So there's a good chance that this was the case for John, because there were many times he showed unhappiness, and he had significant unhappiness. He had like little to no happiness.
I really liked how the movie was like a happy ending.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
know?
that's always like
Getting
my
through
favorite.
it.
And it's also like based on a real story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought that's like what made it so powerful.
This is kind of random, but did you know they died like together? Like they died.
No.
I didn't know that.
Like in bed.
Okay.
Well, like sleeping,
No, I know,
in
like the
bed.
notebook.
Like the notebook.
So I don't know that much. I was researching something and it said they died like at the same
Time?
Yeah. Maybe
Wow.
yeah.
So it speaks like to their connection.
Really? Yeah. And how not only how strong he is, but how strong she is.
No, literally.
Yeah.
For staying instead of leaving.
Oh
Empathy
yeah.
and sympathy for him.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And yeah, she understood him really well, just as if she was a therapist, but she wasn't a therapist. She wasn't.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how like his wife could actually be a therapist, in my opinion. But it's like she was very smart too. She was. Both of them were very smart, even though she had no disorder, of any disorder of anything.
Yeah, she's very hopeful.
Yeah, you're right. And due to his smartness, John was trying to solve Renin hypothesis, I think it's called. He stopped taking his medication and had the hallucinations again.
Yeah.
So by trying to solve that Renin hypothesis, he's kind of like, in a sense, a genius.
Yeah.
In other words, when he's solving stuff like that, you probably wouldn't guess that he has some kind of disorder or schizophrenia.
Right, which is
Right.
why when we were saying that earlier, like signs can be seen as just high intellect. Like, oh, he's just really smart, he's just a little,
Yeah.
different. But no, he actually had an underlying disorder.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and for sure that the article mentioned some brain abnormalities, and it's highly likely that he had some differences in his
Absolutely.
brain.
Yeah. Would you like to do the outro?
Yeah, sure. I can. I'm just gonna make sure. So I mentioned positive symptoms, right?
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of the bases.
I feel like you have to do all of it too. I didn't say everything.
Yeah, I didn't say everything either.
Okay, so that concludes our project for Psych 366, also known as Psychology of Disorders or Psychopathology. Specifically schizophrenia we talked about. And I'm Brandon Stafford.
I'm Grace Legato.
I'm Katie Ladowicz.
I'm Chloe Rose. And I'm Brooke Romsford.
The motorcycle. Thank you, Professor.
Have a good day.